What up, everybody? This is Roderick McDaniel, and this is my buddy Brandon Bowie. And you guys are tuned in today to Team Lift, where we're going to discuss geek culture, two geeks on geek culture. We got a great show lined up for you today. But before we get into that, let me introduce my buddy Brandon. How you doing?
Hello.
All
this
right.
is Brandon.
Great, man. Now, if you guys don't know us, I'm a stand-up comedian, and you can find my album on iTunes and Google Play. Actually, if you're on Xbox Live, it's there. And Brandon and I work for a video game company. We're not going to say the name of that company.
It shall remain nameless.
It will remain
really
nameless.
Needs to be nameless.
We were just... Yeah, I'm not even going to say what it rhymes with. We'll just say that. It's a video game company, and that's how we met. And, you know, when we're not just doing customer service work for this company, we tend to discuss a lot of things in geek culture to get ourselves through the day. And our coworkers kept saying, hey, you guys should have a podcast so we can listen to what you guys think about these subjects.
So now we have a podcast. I mean, it's kind of how these things work.
That's it, man. I think everybody has a podcast. My mom has one this week.
Nice.
Yeah, hers is pretty good, too, man. She's discussing some of the hottest films in porn. So, going to be a great show. I'm tuning into that one. Now, it's so this is going to be a lot of fun, man. But we got some
Topics.
Yeah, we got some topics to rip into. Okay, let's just get started with this.
Okay.
We usually have a plan for these shows, but a lot of things, just like our lives, has gone out of the window. So this is going to be a free-form, floating kind of thing. But before we get started, I have to get this off my chest.
What?
Judd Apatow,
Mm-hmm.
if you're familiar with him, have you he's done some great movies.
Yeah.
We'll say that.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed a lot of his films.
Mm-hmm.
He is the reason Seth Rogen is the comedy man he is in film these days.
Yeah.
He has gone on defense of a film that you and I are not excited about, Ghostbusters.
Ugh.
Okay, so you and I have been discussing this movie for a while. CNN has broke the story, and Judd Apatow thinks that haters of the new Ghostbusters films are Trump supporters.
What the fuck? I mean, really?
Yeah, no, I'm not even joking.
We're going to go there?
That's what he's saying. If you don't like the Ghostbusters film, you are a Trump supporter. And
Okay.
I didn't know I was voting for Trump.
I didn't know either. I mean, this is news to me. I mean,
Yeah, I'm now a Trump supporter.
when was this decided?
It's real. It's really this weird theory. So the way they're reporting it is that let me see if I can find it. I got to find his quote. Yeah, here's the quote. I got it. I would assume there's a very large crossover of people who are doubtful Ghostbusters will be great and people excited about the Donald Trump candidacy. I would assume they are the exact same people. Now, the project has been the subject of criticism almost since it was first announced. Critics, let's be honest.
The most downvoted movie trailer of all time on YouTube right now, I think.
Yes, yeah, it is. And like people weren't hip with the fact that it was a remake.
I think that's a travesty, and I have some words on that one too.
Yeah, I mean, people hated the idea it was a remake. Some people hated the idea that it was all female cast. The other thing that people hated was that the one African American in the cast. Now, this was the thing that got me. I didn't even know this was an issue. That Leslie Jones, who are a fucking phenomenal woman from Saturday Night Live, she's funny as hell. They were upset that she wasn't a scientist.
Yeah.
But I'm not even sure there was racism in that because I don't think Ernie Hudson was a scientist.
Ernie Hudson was just kind of an everyman. He was, you pay me money, I'll believe whatever the hell you want. I think is the line.
That's what his line was in the movie. So he was not a scientist in the original. But I guess in our politically correct,
he's got to be a scientist now.
Racially sensitive time, she should have been a scientist.
Yeah.
Even though it's a remake of the first film, and he wasn't a scientist. Okay, so all of that. Let's take all that.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that have been said. Now, Judd has gone out and he's praised the movie as being made by the great Paul Feig and stars the funniest people on earth. Now, I'm not going to lie. Leslie Jones, Melissa McCarthy.
By all accounts,
Kristen
the
Wiig.
talent that is in the movie and is associated with the movie should be able to make a good film that is funny and awesome.
Yes.
I just think that it's going in completely the wrong direction.
I personally, I've come to the conclusion. I grew up, I'm 45, so I grew up in the 80s, and I remember when the first Ghostbusters hit the theater, and I went opening weekend to watch it with my friends, and it was just great. We had a great time, and we sat there in a packed theater and watched this movie. Yeah, and I've come to the conclusion that Hollywood has just fucking tapped out. They're done.
Yeah,
they're just going to remake everything.
I mean, the only people who are actually making anything that's new right now is Marvel and Disney, and even they're just culling over the shit that they've got in their roster anyway.
Yeah, that's like
all Marvel's just retelling stories from their comics. Disney and Lucasfilms are just retelling the Star Wars films right now. Everybody is just, let's remake all the things.
But no, Disney is remaking their entire library. So Pete's Dragon, we know, is coming. Yeah. They've given us live action. They're giving us a live action version of Beauty and the Beast, which is probably going to be amazing. They done Maleficent, which was the Snow White live action version. So Disney has pretty much decided we're going to remake all our movies. Yeah. And Marvel said, hey, we're going to give you cinematic versions of these comic book stories. And that's what it is. We're remaking everything.
Yeah. And I think that there are certain like sacred cows that you should not fuck with. Yeah. Ghostbusters, Back to the Future. Like, there's a few movies that came out of the 80s and the 70s that you just shouldn't remake. You don't need to remake. If you remake them, you're going to ruin them. Big Trouble in Little China, they're remaking that with The Rock. Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them remaking that one. I'm not. I think, okay, I know one that they did remake. Longest Yard. I think we talked about this one. Yeah. Longest Yard was a remake. And I'm not sure who I said this to. Somebody said it to me this week. They like the ending on the Adam Sandler version better. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I got to spot you that one, because I think in the original, if Burt Reynolds dies. Yeah. He died on the field, being a hero, trying to win. They lost the game, but he dies on the field. So it was a bleak-ass film anyway. So that was a remake where I was like, okay, this is actually pretty damn decent. I liked it. But I think we're at a point where the remakes are freaking ridiculous now. Yeah. I mean, they're ridiculous. So it's I'm not a fan of that. So I can see it's like that hot chick that you see a hot chick and you go, my God, that chick is gorgeous. Yeah. And then you get to talking to her and she sounds like Fran Drescher and she's a total bitch. That's how I feel about this Ghostbusters movie. From the outside, this looks like there's a lot of talent and that looks good.
Have you ever watched Legit? You ever watched the show Legit?
Oh, yeah, on FX.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that episode in Legit where he gets, what's his name? I can't even fucking remember the comedian's name now. Where he gets together with this girl who's amazingly hot. She's sweet. She works with disabled people, but she's racist as hell.
Exactly.
That's what you're going for.
Yeah, no, there's a flaw, and I think it's almost at the point now where people, like before, I don't think it's wrong in our society to criticize stuff. I think you can look at stuff and just go, that sucks. I think we have grown as a society by being able to look at stuff and go, that's bullshit over there. Yeah. That sucks.
That meter, it just peaks very easily, very quickly. Yeah. Like Batman versus Superman, that needle just broke the fucking scale.
I still have not watched this movie. Okay,
You're the lucky one, I think, in this room right now. Of the two of us, you're the lucky one because you didn't slog through that 2.5, 3 hours worth of bullshit.
Here's what happened. I was excited to go see the movie. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go watch that. I'm going to go see Batman vs. Superman. I'm hearing all the stuff. Wonder Woman, Aquaman's in it. They're going to, it's leaked. They're going to show Cyborg. So I'm getting all excited. And then life happened and I didn't get to go the opening weekend. And I said, well, that's no big deal. It's not like somebody can ruin the movie for me, I know what's going to be in it.
Though somebody ruined the movie.
Oh yeah, but
it's Scott Snyder.
It was not the people who watched the movie that ruined it for me. It was like, damn you, Zack Snyder in DC. What are you doing? Yeah, what are you guys doing? You guys are pissing me off. Because it was like people were going to the movie, and I was like, how was it? And it would just look like this sadness would overcome them.
The 1,000-yard stare is what happens after you get out of that film. If you're an actual fan of the comic books, you're just like, what the fuck just happened?
What just happened? This look like they were so sad, like somebody had peed on them. And it was like, what happened to these people? And they hated this movie. They hated it. And I was like, oh.
I went in that movie wanting to like it, but that movie, short and sweet, it is 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. There's too much stuff going on. There are too many plot threads. There's too many fucking characters. And they tried to do too many different cuts of different stories that are actually good out of DC's lineup. You know, they tried to do the Trial of Superman. They tried to do, what was the other one? The Death of Superman. Then they also tried to do like a Batman versus Superman. And all of it is just, it's too much. It should have been 3 or 4 films.
But they were pulling from multiple sources, because we had the Batman was a part Frank Miller, the Dark Knight Returns Batman,
and the fight between them is from that comic book. It's literally that fight. Batman's all jacked up in his fucking suit, and that's powered, and he's kicking the shit out of Superman. You know, Superman, spoilers if you haven't fucking seen it yet, but Superman gets hit by kryptonite, gets weakened, they brawl out for a while. I mean, it's literally that fight, almost beat for beat, and that's great. Batman was great, Wonder Woman was great, Superman had like 46 lines and was completely wooden and flat the whole film. The way that they did Lex Luthor was just, it doesn't even do justice to the fucking character. It's like they took the Joker and said, hey Joker, could you do me a favor and dress up as Lex Luthor for a movie?
Okay, this is the thing about this. Let's really get into it, because Lex Luthor, for the comic book readers, Lex is brilliant. He's a brilliant tactician and businessman. Now, he's not always on the up and up. He was a crooked ass businessman, and now he wasn't always that, because before, I mean, I think around the 80s they started to reinvent Lex to make him more of this brilliant businessman. Had all these business fronts, so he was kind of like the Kingpin from Marvel Comics. Yeah. I have these business fronts and legitimate business fronts, but I'm doing a lot of dirty stuff, and I hate Superman. And so I've never really, like if you watch Smallville, you see a version of it. He hated Clark from their growing up together and blah blah blah. But it was really weird. It never really made sense to me. Everything in the comic book, you saw Lex, every time he did something, he did it with a purpose. I want to be president, because when I'm president, I'm going to do this. When it's going to help me to destroy Superman here. So that was one of the biggest things that comic book fans hit me with, was that it was like Lex did things in this movie, but there was no rhyme or reason or purpose to it. Yeah. He was not a fleshed out character.
No,
and it drove comic book fans crazy.
And, I mean, the whole crux of the film being based around Batman and Superman having the same mother's first name, Martha. I mean, really? Like,
my favorite meme right now is the Step Brothers meme of that. Where it's like, is your mother's name Martha? Did we fucking just become best friends? That is the greatest meme ever.
And that's exactly what happened in the film. Like, it went from punchy, stabby, like almost kill Superman, to we're best friends because both of our mom's name is Martha and your mom has been taken. I'm going to go save her. And this is the other fucked up thing. There's some weird ass physics going on in this. And I mean, and I say that about a movie where a man can fly. Where he goes from being in the middle of the city, beating the shit out of Batman in an abandoned building, to all the way back to Wayne Manor, getting his fucking, the Batwing, and then taking that motherfucker all the way across the city to go save Martha in the space of what's supposed to be less than 10 minutes until she's going to be killed. Like, how the fuck did Batman do that? Does Batman have teleportation powers now? Like,
You know, Batman has everything in that utility belt. So there was maybe a little of the 70s Batman. I got some super speed serum in my utility belt and I'm going to use it.
And I mean, it's just so much stuff. There's so much wrong that it's really hard to put it all in perspective. And
I have friends that are hardcore DC fanboys.
Yeah.
Unapologetic DC fanboys. And the hardcore... it's my buddy. I would just say his name. He'd be proud to know that I gave him a shout out. His name is Joe Nathan. His name's Jonathan, but I called him Joe Nathan for the last 17 years. He's been Joe Nathan. I just thought that was a better name than Jonathan, and I just started calling him. One of our best friends, who's no longer with us, called him Joe Nathan, and we all heard it. And from that day forward, he was Joe Nathan. Okay, so when I talk about Joe Nathan, he's a hardcore DC fanboy. When I say that, I mean this is a guy who builds his schedule around watching Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, collecting the DC comic books. Super excited for the DC Universe Rebirth. We'll get into that in a bit. He's this guy. Yeah. Okay? I've yet to hear him say 2 words about this film. And I won't breach the subject with him. This is a guy who owns every DC comic book.
There's some deep pain there if he hasn't even mentioned it himself yet.
Won't mention the film. We don't talk about the film. I've asked him, hey, did you see it? And he said, yes. And he dropped the subject. Joe Nathan dropped it. It was done.
It was over with.
He said yes.
Yeah.
And he went to the next subject. It was and I like this about it. And it was, oh my God. Like he gets really passionate about it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it was this. Oh my God. And this happened. None of that, bro. It was like, hey, did you see, Batman vs. Superman? Yes. Now, are you going to pick up those new issues? And I was like, whoa, did that just happen? And I was it was awkward. I was just like, I'm not going to. It was like asking about asking about a girl that you knew he was in love with and you didn't know they broke up. That's what it felt like. Yeah. And I was like, he's in an abusive relationship with DC movies. We're not going to bring this subject. I don't talk about it. It's done. It's done.
Zack Snyder kicked all his puppies. All of them.
Zack Snyder kicks a lot of people's puppies. And here's what I don't get about Zack Snyder. He did 300, which is a macho guy film, which a lot of people we liked it. It was visually appealing. It had a lot going for it. 300 was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
What has he done since? Well, I liked Watchmen. Mm-hmm. There's some things from I think he did the best job he could to bring Watchmen to the screen.
Yeah. Have you seen Watchmen: The Ultimate Cut, where they add in everything, including the Black Freighter and all the extra scenes and stuff?
No.
Oh yeah, it's really good. I mean, unfortunately, they still have the change in there where they don't use the aliens that they were supposed to use.
Oh, that kills off the universe to make everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so they use Dr. Manhattan instead still. Mm-hmm. But they actually did like a 30-minute animated version of the Black Freighter, and they added in all the scenes that support it, where the kid goes and picks up the comic and starts reading it, and then it pulls into the comic, and then you watch the whole comic through the kid's eyes, basically as an animated feature, and then it pulls back out of that, and they've extended a whole bunch of other stuff. It's really good. It's like 3.5 hours long. So, if you want to watch it, be prepared, bring, your rubber underwear or whatever. But it's really, really good. I highly recommend it. But I don't think that he understands DC comics or how to properly bring them to the screen. Like, he understands how to do his own thing, and he's trying to do his own thing with the DC comics instead of doing what the fans want, which is the fan service that we need. Which I think that we're in the era of fan service in these types of comic book movies, but that fan service is something that we expect, and when we go to the movie and we don't get it, that's when things go awry.
Oh, well, okay. Here's why. And we've discussed this at work. We've asked people at work about this, and it's almost unanimous every time we discuss this. Mm-hmm. Marvel gave filmmakers a roadmap to how to build a cinematic universe.
Yeah.
It was never done the way Marvel did it until they did this.
They have Kevin Feige. That's what it is.
He is bro.
They have an architect who's putting up the framework for the whole universe, and then they have other artists coming in and filling in the minutiae of the detail.
But there's one guy who is he's the
pillar.
He's the watcher on the wall.
So
he is the visionist. He has the visionary.
And DC has that. They just won't use him, and that's Greg Berlanti.
Yeah, because
he's orchestrated and brought to life more DC comic characters in a more cohesive world that people actually enjoy than DC's managed to do since they started their whole the cinematic universe on their end of things.
It would have been different if they'd have just... I think Marvel did it great. Hey, we got Iron Man and it was a hit, and we're going to give you this little something at the end that says this ties to a bigger universe.
Yeah.
And it had DC... Like, everybody keeps telling me, hey, Batman vs. Superman should have been 3 films, okay?
Yeah.
Should have been 3 films. It was not 3 films. I think that's the issue that happened there. It wasn't 3 films, and it was too much going on. It was almost too much to take in. So I could see, had DC done that, I mean, they could really, like, it's not like they don't have this great roster of characters to pull from.
Most of the time, I think what's going on in DC's landscape is that they're taking the Hollywood approach, which is they're setting like 5 or 10 writers against each other to write a script, and then they'll get all these script submissions and they'll poo-poo the ones that they don't like, and they'll keep the ones that they do like, and then the ones that they do like, they can't decide which one they want to do, so they just start cutting and pasting them together, and then it just kind of turns into this terrible hash of all of these different storylines when they should just be doing what they did in the comics. Just go to the comic and say, this is my source material, put this on the screen.
Yeah, no, would have been great. And I just pulled up something, man, while we were talking about this guy. Like, I decided to look at Zack Snyder's films, man. Yeah. And it starts in 2004, and he was the director of Dawn of the Dead, which that remake was really a solid. Yeah. I mean, I loved it, the whole thing. They were stuck in the mall. There were some great things that took place in that movie. It's one of my favorites. On that one, he was just a director. Then in 2007, he comes with 300. On that one, he's the director. He was the writer. He has a cameo. I don't even know he was a cameo in that one. 2009, he comes with The Watchmen. He is the director. He has a cameo in that one. Now, on those, I'm like, when those are your first 3 films.
Yeah.
Those were, to me, you went back to back to back with solid films. Okay,
yeah.
that would get
Which is why they gave him the DC Universe, because he's got a solid track record.
Well, here's what kills me, because in 2010 he comes with The Legends of Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, and then in 2011 he came with Sucker Punch, which me and 3 other people saw that movie.
I watched it.
I didn't even watch it the whole way through.
Yeah,
I didn't finish it.
I have flashes of that movie sometimes, and it's like, it feels like Vietnam flashbacks, I think.
Here's the thing. He was the director, producer, and he wrote that.
Yeah.
And then we turn around and give him The Man of Steel in 2013. Then he does the producer and writer for 300, Rise of an Empire.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it starts getting crazy. So in 2016, he now gives us Batman, Superman, The Dawn of Justice. And on that one, he is he's a director. And he also has my God, he had a cameo in that movie. Okay. And then he's going to give a Suicide Squad, which I'm going to say this. Don't think of this as I don't want everybody to think this podcast is a we hate DC, smash DC. I really am excited for this Suicide Squad. I'm excited to see what happens here, but he's an executive producer there.
I want it to be good. I do not want it to fail, but given, Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, not so optimistic.
Yeah, no, my brother said this, and it really messed me up. He said he is not excited anymore for DC films. And he said they've lost the right for him to be excited. He said because he keeps giving them a chance, and they keep disappointing him.
Yeah.
He said whether it's, Man of Steel, Superman Returns, he said they keep disappointing him. said the only thing that you get excited for is Batman films.
Yeah.
And he said, and you only got excited for those when Christopher Nolan was in charge of them.
Well, I think the new Batman film, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ben Affleck is writing and directing it.
Yes.
And Ben Affleck is an Academy Award winner.
Solid. Okay,
and
let us go back.
He actually did a really good job in Batman vs. Superman. I hated that choice. I hated it with everybody else. And
I was one of the few people that did not hate it. I kept saying this to people. I said, guys, this dude wrote Good Will Hunting. This guy was in the town. He's given us great movies. He was in Gone Girl, and he does a amazing job in Gone Girl.
But Geely.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Geely, in everybody's life, a little shit must fall. Okay, so he has Geely. Yeah, Jennifer Lopez, we're still waiting on you to come with an Academy Award winner, but Ben has redeemed himself.
I mean, there's a little shit in everybody's lives, but when it falls in your mouth,
yeah, you tend to remember it longer. It's hard to shake it. But that was the one where I was like, this guy has the chops to really do a great job. I don't know why. I just kept feeling like he's going to do great, and I was really justified in he did great. I just wish he would have had a better movie around him.
I think when they first announced it, I thought that he would make a really good Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he could play a good Batman.
I understand that 100%.
Millionaire playboy, sure, he can do that. That's easy. And I mean, and that's the mask. Batman is the person. If you go back and you read The Dark Knight, he basically says in that you know, in his head he's Batman. To everybody else he's Bruce Wayne. But you know, when he listens to his inner voice, it's Batman. He is Batman. And
I 100% agree with that. 100%. And in fact, that has always been kind of the thing, you know, is the mask. In fact, we're going to get into this. Let's get into it, because one of my favorite things about DC Comics, the whole New 52.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm excited for Suicide Squad, the New 52, because the New 52 did some things amazingly well.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wonder Woman finally became a badass in the New 52. So, a solid series. Aquaman finally had a great writing team, became a badass.
Useless man.
He was no longer a joke character like...
He's still a joke character.
No, he's not, bro. If you read this run...
Let's take him to the middle of Kansas, and we'll see how fucking useful he is.
That fool is still bulletproof and will knock a fool out. He stops a robbery on land, and I was like, why have we... This was, okay, like, you know, if you go back to the old comics, the Silver Age, he was a badass. The thing that ruined him was this show that I loved as a kid named The Super Friends.
Yeah.
Because this fool's out here boop, 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 talking to fish and...
Fucking riding around on flying fish.
Yeah, he can't do a damn thing unless we're at the beach. He's only stopping crime at the beach.
Yeah.
He became a joke character. And it was weird because, like, Aquaman, he would always, I mean, there was stuff going on in the sea, so he was having active adventures in the Silver Age in the comic book in the sea, in the ocean. You rarely ever saw him come up on land. It was then when they kind of made him part of the Super Friends, that generation of people that grew up with him watching that remembered this guy was a joke. And then, oh my God, Robot Chicken gets a hold of him, and a whole generation of people realize this dude is a joke. I think a lot of people at DC knew that, and they looked at that. That was the perception. So when they gave it over to that New 52 writer, they really gave us some of the most memorable characters, some of the better written stories from the Aquaman universe. I really enjoyed the run on there. My favorite thing, two favorite things from the New 52 were the Suicide Squad stories.
Yeah.
But they were action packed. They were like big budget summer blockbuster films. The stories were these crazy setups and weird ass adventures, and you're not quite sure how they're going to get out of here. And these guys were jaded. They were the criminals, you know. That's what they were. These were not good people. They were just bad people doing a good thing. And I love that dynamic of it. It was well written. A lot of fun issues in that first 25 issues. My favorite thing from the New 52, Scott freaking Snyder gave us a Batman run that I've said it many a times. I've seen it written by other people. His run ranks up as one of the greatest Batman runs of all times. So when I say that, I think of like great runs on a comic book. I think Kevin Smith's run on Daredevil was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Frank Miller did some great things when he had Daredevil.
Yeah.
I think he did some great things. Garth Ennis's run with The Punisher. It was brutal. It was violent. It was almost more of what we saw in the Netflix version of The Punisher.
Yeah.
It was a great run. Frank Miller's run with Batman, we know, legendary. A lot of people, they call it the definitive run. I'm not quite sure. I think he gave us his Dark Knight series was a good series. You know, It was enjoyable. I think it showed us what the older, aged, rugged, battle-hardened Batman would be like. I think Frank Miller really captured that.
Yeah.
But Scott Snyder's run was legendary because he took... he gave us something called the Court of Owls, which I tell everybody, read the Court of Owls story. This was Scott Snyder's creation. It was this organization who really pulled the strings in Gotham and had hidden. They were wealthy. They were almost like the Purge.
Yeah.
They were the Purge of Gotham. These rich people pulling the strings, and they were really called. Yeah, they were really the Illuminati. And so his run was just an amazing run, and just the character development, the things that went down in there, the way the Joker pretty much just the Joker's depiction in Scott Snyder's run were the stuff of legends.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you're a Batman fan, you find a Batman fan, Scott Snyder has given them some of their favorite stories in the last 30 years. Took place in the New 52 run. Some of the best stories I've seen in Batman took place in that. So we'll be talking about some of Scott Snyder's stories, I think, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. There's some stuff that we'll be talking about that became legendary in his run. I think it was amazing. So when I look at the Suicide Squad, I say all that because when I look at the Suicide Squad trailer, I see New 52 Suicide Squad. Now, there's a couple of things that I don't like. I'll tell you this right now. As a guy who read the comic books, one of my favorite things about Harley Quinn was that she was a counselor.
Yeah.
This was not a dumb woman. She wasn't dumb. She was super intelligent. She fell in love with the wrong man.
Yeah.
And he took advantage of that, basically. I mean,
he messed her up.
He gaslighted her a little bit and led her on and kind of messed with her, but she was already teetering. Yeah. Let's just be honest. She was on the edge. He didn't have to push her hard over the edge to be Harley Quinn. He just kind of led her down the path to, hey, you can be liberated this way. So I like that version of Harley Quinn. I don't like the version where she was forced into it, where he just forced her to be thrown in the vat and made crazy. I don't like that because to me, that, not to sound like a feminist or anything, I just felt like this other story gave us a stronger female character.
Yeah.
This was a strong, independent female character, well written, who was teetering on the edge and
just went the wrong way.
And went that wrong direction. Could happen to anybody. Okay, that's a real life situation. We've always been that person on the edge and said, I'm not going to kill everybody, but I could. So I mean, I like that story better than I was forced into it. Oh, you were an abused wife. Now.
It's that dynamic of, you're just one bad day away from being me.
Exactly. The total line right there that we get from yes. And that's it. I love that about Harley Quinn. I'm not sure I like the Harley Quinn that was forced into the life of crime.
Yeah.
Because he threw her in the vat and made her that way. I don't like that. That's not the Harley Quinn. I think a lot of Harley Quinn she's a weird character because like the Joker had his own comic book for a while back in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, Harley Quinn is a weird character just because she did not get her start in the comic books. She came out of the Batman animated films and then went into the comics. But she was created by somebody who worked on comics.
Wasn't it Paul Dini?
Yeah, it was Paul Dini.
Yeah, Paul Dini. Yeah, he did that whole thing. Yeah. And so, which, let's face it, that show, there will never be another Batman animated show like that one, man. That show was amazing.
That entire show, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but that entire show was actually started on black paper, and they added color to it. It wasn't a white paper, and then we darken it. they lightened black. That's why it looks that way. That's why it has that aesthetic of always looking dark, even when they're in a fully lit room. It's because the whole thing was just drawn on black paper.
I loved it. I love that show.
It was perfect. Like, it sets the tone for the whole series, all the way through, start to finish.
Yeah. No,
and we have
so many great stories.
For me, I think a lot of people have, like, this Batman, like, this particular Batman's my Batman. If there's a Batman that is my Batman, it's the animated series Batman. It's the voice of Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Kevin Conroy was our Batman.
Kevin Conroy is my Batman. He will always be my Batman.
No, I agree. 100% hands down. I don't think we get a lot of people to disagree with us on
Here's
that.
what we need to do, and here's DC, fucking steal this, run away with it, do whatever. Do Batman Beyond, and have him come in and play old Batman in a live action film.
Kevin Conroy?
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he's an older gentleman already anyway. He's that age that Batman would be at that point in time.
Who would you cast, though?
I would cast Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Okay.
I would do that. There's an episode or a mini movie of the Batman Beyond where the Joker is inside of a former Robin.
I have that on Blu-ray.
Exactly.
I have the uncut version on Blu-ray.
So you bring in Mark Hamill and you have Mark Hamill play both characters. You have him play the older version of Robin. You have him do whatever voice he wants to do for that. And then when he transforms into the Joker, we get to see Mark Hamill live action Joker, which we all know how animated he is just when he's being the Joker behind closed doors. How fucking awesome would this be to have on screen?
Okay, so who do we cast in the role of Batman?
That, I have no idea. I mean...
Would you be against Zac Efron? Zac Efron could be...
I don't have anything against it on the surface. I don't have anything really for it, but I don't have anything against it either, though. Although I do think that we should definitely go with somebody younger. Like, we're talking, like, the way that Marvel used Spider-Man in Civil War. Like, that type of
bringing in a young kid.
A young kid.
Because
that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a high school kid who kind of gets sucked into this.
Terry McGinnis, yeah. I mean, here's my thing, though, about it. It's like the voice was Will Friedle, who was the big brother on... What was the name of that show? Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
He was the big brother on Boy Meets World. So Will had the Terry McGinnis voices in our head. We know what we want to hear. I think people don't realize this, but we've been brainwashed into what Terry McGinnis should sound like. Hollywood says, let's bring in a big name that's going to draw people in. I see Zac Efron getting that bid, but
I don't think that we should bring in
I don't know if he should be the one that you go with.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Conroy's not we don't know Kevin Conroy's face.
I know Kevin Conroy's face because I've seen a lot of Kevin Conroy just in and outside of Batman and stuff.
If you go into a lot of
conventions,
you know his face. I don't think Joe Blow, average American, knows his face.
Yeah.
Like, some people are going to have to Google Kevin Conroy after this to go, who the hell is Kevin Conroy?
Who the fuck is Kevin? He's fucking Batman.
He was the Batman voice.
He is Batman.
Every animated film
and every video game except for that abortion of Batman, like...
Was it the only one that Rocksteady didn't do?
Yeah, it was the one that WB Games in Montreal did.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only one where both of them weren't invited to come and play their characters again because they wanted to do young Batman, and Kevin Conroy sounds too old.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was terrible.
I mean, just technically and everything. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, no, I want to think about this one. I think we might need to put a Survey Monkey out and put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And get people to vote on this. Who would you cast if we were casting a Batman Beyond movie?
Yeah.
Who would you cast as Terry McGinnis? Who's your pick for Terry McGinnis? Who would it be? I think we have something here. We're going to do that. We're actually going to put something together, and we're going to come back with in a future show, and we're going to get you the answer for that one. I think we got something there.
Yeah.
I want to see where that goes because the reason I say they Hollywooded is because that's what they seem to do on everything.
Yeah.
So Gal Gadot, I mean, that's Wonder Woman. That really wasn't a Hollywood choice. I think they could have went
That's
with bigger
another
names,
one
and they really did well picking her.
That was another one where I was like, really? This is who we're casting for Wonder Woman?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I think we all had.
And then I saw the movie, and then I was like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
So you guys are going to make me sit down and watch this movie, man. I'm going to have to watch it just so I can see the shit fest.
Well, you want to
for myself.
Watch it at least just for watch it just for Batman and watch it just for Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, because those two people in those two roles, they're the things that actually buoy the film and make it watchable.
I want to wait for the Blu-ray when they come out with the uncut, the R-rated version.
They just released a trailer for that too.
They did release the R-rated trailer. Okay, I want to see that. I think when I heard that was coming, I think it kind of really pushed me off. Like, it was sad. My brother and my mother gave me free passes to the movie. I told you this before the show recorded. I got free passes to the movies. She gives us movie passes all the time. I watch a lot of film.
Is this in between her podcasts? Or?
Yeah, this has been between. She's got the hookups. So she hooked me up with these free movie tickets, and I still wouldn't use the free movie ticket to go watch Batman and Superman. So that told you how much people had pretty much ruined this film for me. I was like, it's a shot. I'm done. Yeah. I don't want to see it. Okay, man, we really went deep into that one, man. What else do we want to talk about? Let's get into it. We're on DC. It's turning into the DC show. The DC Universe Rebirth comics hit last week in stores. And I would say it hit the week before last because I picked up some issues. But last week I did pick up DC Rebirth Batman. Yeah. I think DC Rebirth Superman is there. So have you read the issue? I got you issue
I read
1.
the issue that you gave me. I haven't read any of the other issues.
Okay, cool. I'm super excited about the DC universe, and I've not been excited about DC comic book universe. Like, New 52 gave me some stuff I liked. Yeah. There were a lot of titles that I did not read. I was just like, no. Gave it a shot, didn't like it, left it alone. One that I always hear people say, and I didn't do it, but it shocks me, the Dial H for Heroes series, when it got rebooted in the New 52, a lot of people really enjoyed that, and I did not. Dial H for Hero was something I remember from the 80s, kind of being cheesy. Yeah. And I didn't
I think it just sounds cheesy. Like, it sounds like a...
Basically, you had this belt that gave you a power of the week or the month for each issue. So each time you had a different superpower. Yeah. And it just happened to be appropriate for the situation you were in. And it was just like in the 80s, I'm not buying this. Okay, I don't want this. Yeah. But I heard the reboot of it in the New 52 was supposedly good. I didn't read it, so I can't really speak to it, but it shocked me when I was hanging out with some guys. I was at a local comic book shop here in Austin, Texas called Rogues Gallery, up, near Pflugerville in Round Rock. Yeah. I was there, and we were, a bunch of gentlemen my age. They were all in their 40s, late 30s. We were talking shop, and that kept coming up that day. And I was like, man,
I guess I got to read it.
I'm going to have to go hunt this down now. I'm going to have to go find it because it just kept coming up in the conversation when I was talking about the DC Universe Rebirth. So let me go ahead and kind of tell everybody so you're not in the dark about what's going on. DC Comics is rebooting their universe for the 17th time.
And that's being generous.
Yeah, I was saying 17th time because, whether it was a Crisis on Infinite Earths, just
Flashpoint Paradox, Crisis on Infinite Earths,
New 52, Old 52, Countdown to Crisis,
DC Rebirth,
Infinity Identity Crisis. There was always some damn crisis going on in the DC universe, and it rebooted it. They're rebooting again. So I think when they did Crisis on Infinite Earths, the original series that was supposed to it was supposed to streamline the DC universe and make it more cohesive. Because when I was a kid, there was Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 616, Earth 13.
No, 616 is Marvel. There's
a 600.
there might be in the
There's
DC,
a 600 universe there. Okay, in fact, the 600 universe in the DC universe is where Young Justice takes place. So there's all these universes.
Yeah.
And so they were like, we're going to streamline this and we're going to make it more, we're going to get rid of some of these Earths.
Essentially what they were doing is they started getting a lot of complaints that it was too difficult for new comic book readers to come in and pick up what was going on without having to go back and buy hundreds of back issues and read everything.
And the continuity was screwed up.
Yeah, and the continuity was messed up. So they just kind of said, okay, here's a line. Beyond this line, you can just start here and everything will be fine.
Right. And that was the first big reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And they rebooted so many times because after each reboot, they kept screwing up. Yeah. Something would go horribly wrong. And then, well, we did this, and then we did this. Well, then I don't like this, and then we need to change this, and we need to retcon this. So now they're rebooting. So New 52 comes along after the Flashpoint Paradox, which was a Flash miniseries where Flash goes back in time to save his mother. But
spoilers for season 4 or season 3
if you're watching the TV series and you didn't read the comic book, that's your own damn fault. The book's been out 4 years. Okay. 4 years is not even a spoiler at this point. Go read a freaking book. That's what I tell Game of Thrones fans all the time. Spoiler alerts. There's been a book for a couple of years, but now we are in new territory. So
I don't even want to talk about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
I'm so fucking angry right now about that shit. But anyway, back to what we're talking about.
So back to the DC reboot again. So it's number 17's up to bat. And what they did is they realized that they did a lot of things right in the New 52.
Yeah.
And they don't want to forget those things that they did right in the New 52. That was one of my fears is we're going to reboot and you're going to get rid of a lot of great things that you finally got right in the New 52.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they said, no, we're going to acknowledge all these things. And so in the first issue, Batman's trying to investigate this thing that's going on. Mm-hmm. And he's like, 3 Jokers are now showing up. And they all seem to be the Joker. This is DNA matches for the Joker. Why are there 3 of them?
Yeah.
And so there was a pre-New 52 Joker. There was the New 52 Joker.
And then there's the Joker from this reality.
Yeah, there was some Jokers from a different reality. So you're starting to kind of realize, okay, wait a minute. This is cool. Wait, there's a Superman. Mm-hmm. So Lex Luthor is a Superman that's in the Justice League in the New 52. And wait, there's a Superman that just showed up with Lois as his wife, and they have a son.
Yeah.
Holy crap, what's going on here? So then the Flash. So, fans of the Flash know there's a black Wally West.
Yeah.
And then...
or also known as Kid Flash.
Yeah, Kid Flash. And then there was the original Wally West, the white guy.
Yeah.
And then
also known as Kid Flash.
Also known as Kid Flash. And then there was Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And Barry dies in the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Wally West took over. He became the Flash. And then... Wally had a wife, had kids in his reality before the whole Flashpoint Paradox. There were some things going on. Wally did, Mm-hmm. He was a family man. He had kids. He was doing the whole Pa Kent thing. So it was great, but then a lot of that disappears. Another one that changed, Black Canary and Green Arrow. Yeah.
We all know they're a couple.
Yeah.
They're a couple. I mean, in the comic books, they were a couple for years.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is.
In the comic book, in the DC Universe Rebirth, they acknowledge it, that they always look at each other, mm-hmm. and they know there's something there, but they never could quite figure it out. So I've always thought that was great. I really, really, really enjoyed that. Yeah. So the comic is really setting it up where it's going to bring the best of all these universes together. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we're going to end up with 3 Supermans. I don't know what they're going to do, but I know Superman fans are excited to see the Superman that married Lois.
Yeah.
They're excited to see that. But man, there's just so much that I can, they're not going to get rid of Scott Snyder's run. I can't think of the guy's name. Is it Tom King? I can't think of the King that's taken over. I got to go look it up. King is taking over on Batman. So, and I think the first issue goes out June 15th. That's That's what I'm seeing on lists. I'm going to have to see who's taking over. But Snyder's stepping down, and he's turning over his run to someone else. And if you get the Batman Rebirth issue, Calendar Man's a badass in it.
That's strange.
I'm gonna try to get you a copy of this.
Yeah,
I gotta get you a number one of this one. You got to check it out. Calendar Man, who a lot of people have never thought of being a badass, kind of. You start realizing.
What is he gonna do? Throw the fucking days of the month at me?
Yeah, he's gonna do.
Hit me with
he
a
does
giant
some
Wednesday
stuff. That you just go, well, this was a different kind of Calendar Man. Okay, so I like this guy's style. He's ramping up the end. Because if you can make Calendar Man a badass, what would you do with the Joker or the Penguin? What would you do with somebody who could really damn near kill,
really fuck everything up,
or Black Skull? You're going to be able to do something that's going to scare me later on with these guys. So we're going to see, but I think the Rebirth is going to be good. Some of the things I wanted to see them keep, they are going to keep. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Suicide Squad not being touched really, because I mean they're rebooting it. Harley, I think, is going to still be more the leader of the team. I've always called it Deadshot's team.
Yeah.
I think even when they rebooted it, Deadshot was the guy, but Harley's the more popular character.
Well, Deadshot's kind of in that same role that, like in X-Men, he's the leader, but he's not the popular person of the group. Just like in X-Men, Cyclops, yeah.
Yeah, he's the leader, but he's not as popular as Wolverine.
Yeah. Wolverine is the unofficial leader. Wolverine does whatever the fuck he wants to, and the X-Men just kind of show up. Yeah. But he's back there trying to be the leader, and that's what Deadshot does.
Yeah, I would agree. Because Deadshot is the non-de facto leader, I should say, of the Suicide Squad. But Harley is a much bigger, more popular character.
Yeah.
I think once the movie comes out, you're going to have a lot of El Diablo fans. El Diablo is probably one of the most conflicted bad guys I've seen in the he's one of the realest comic book characters. And the reason I say that, this guy breathes fire, but he was a gang member, had these metahuman powers where he could breathe fire, and it was a retaliation hit on a gang member who had, on a gang that had rode on his gang. They were going to try to get him back. He goes to take revenge. In the comic book, in the New 52, he burns down a house.
Yeah.
To get those gang members. Inadvertently, he burned down a house that had the women, the mothers and children of those gang members at the house, and he was guilt. He had guilt behind it. When you were riding on other gang members, you never thought about the lives. It was retaliation for retaliation. But now that mothers and children were killed in the process of you trying to ride on this other gang, he was conflicted, and so he really struggled with the powers in his gang life, and he totally is into the Suicide Squad to redeem the lives that he took that he shouldn't have taken. He's really trying to find redemption. I thought he was a well-written character. I pretty much see that they're going to follow that in this new Suicide Squad movie. I think that if they do it well, if it's written well, there are going to be a lot of El Diablo fans. I would not be shocked to see DC capitalize on that later this year.
Yeah.
I think they'd be foolish not to. You'd be foolish not to capitalize on a character that's conflicted, that's complex, that I think people could get behind.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Everybody loves a story about redemption. Everybody.
The most jaded person loves a redemption story.
Yeah.
And I think we're two of the most jaded people we know. And we love those stories. And so I think that's going to be a good one. I can't wait to see what they do with that. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what we covered, man. We started with the whole Judd Apatow and the Ghostbusters. I think
there's some things that we probably still should say about that. We didn't really we kind of spun away from it.
We did, because the whole thing, I think it was so ridiculous what he said.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. So we did discuss it, though. We brought that up. We kind of went through the whole DC Rebirth. We've discussed the shit show that Batman and Superman was.
Yeah.
We've we brought up a subject we didn't think we would get into. We spun into our whole what we want to see with the Batman Beyond. I think we're on to something there. And we're going to set up a survey for people to jump in and tell us who they would cast as Terry McGinnis. There was some other stuff we saw in comic books over the last couple of weeks I wanted to get into. Kind of a controversial subject.
Get into Marvel?
We got to go Marvel.
We got to go to Marvel.
We got to go Marvel. Okay. Everybody knows as soon as I said that, if you're listening to this podcast, you already know where this is going. We're about to discuss Captain America. And the Captain America reboot, issue 1.
Captain Hydra.
Oh my god!
Captain Hydra.
It's not even a spoiler alert. I'm not even gonna say spoiler alert
because if you've been on social media, you've been fucked with it in the eyeballs.
Yeah, it's on. Okay, when CNN covers this story, you have really touched on a social nerve.
Yeah.
So let us go. I think this is what's so weird about it. Captain America: Civil War comes out, amazing film. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, do yourself the freaking honor of getting into a theater and seeing this on the big screen. It is
totally big screen worthy. It is. It's the best movie that's been released this year. I mean,
I would agree.
The only thing that even comes close is Deadpool, and Deadpool was fucking amazing.
It was. Now, but it was a totally different film.
It's a totally different film.
Totally different. But this one here, like Deadpool, every adult comic book reader was finally happy to see the Deadpool we wanted.
Yeah.
We got an R-rated, foul-mouthed, insane Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Civil War was a big cast movie, and it was done so freaking well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was done so freaking well. There was nothing I could have asked them to add to that movie. Like when I left it, I felt satisfied when I left it.
Yeah. So the brothers who worked on the film, like blanking on their name for some reason, but the gentleman who brought us that film also brought us Captain America: Winter Soldier, and they've done Civil War now, and they're gonna do Infinity War together. They were recently on Screen Junkies, and they were saying, you know, the reason why Captain America: Winter Soldier was so good is because they wanted to make a movie where the people who do the ranting from Screen Junkies, where they just basically go through and just dismantle the film for all of its flaws. They wanted it to pass that test and not give them any ammo, you know, or anything to bitch about. And I think that's what they did with Civil War. They went over the story point by point and went, okay, how can we, if we were going to tear this down, how would we tear it down? And then how can we change it so that it can't be torn down in that way?
Right.
And that leads to very solid storytelling. It leads to very solid motivations. Like, both movies, Batman vs. Superman and Civil War, both use the axiom, spoilers again if you haven't fucking seen it, of my parent died. In Civil War,
there's a lot of orphans in comic books.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of.
If you want to be a hero, you may as well just kill your fucking parents right now.
You're not going to be a great hero unless both of your parents died.
But they play on it, and they play on that in Batman vs. Superman, and it's comical. But they play on it in Civil War, and I completely understand where Tony Stark is coming from and why he wants to rip that goddamn arm.
Yeah, there's some things. We're not going to say more. We're just going to say you understand why Tony Stark is like.
The motivation is
he's
there.
He's in murder mode.
Yeah,
he's murder mode.
He's gone, just gone,
and you can see it, and then you kind of understand. I mean, man, loyalty. There's okay, and it's the Russo brothers. So it's Joe Russo and Anthony Russo. They are the directors of the Civil War film. They also did Captain America: Winter Soldier, and they probably.
They're doing Infinity War. They've also said that the Marvel heads are going to let them do. I don't know if they're going to do it specifically, but they've also signed off on Scarlett Johansson getting her own Black Widow movie.
I'm ready for that. Well, here's the thing about them that gets me.
It's gonna be so
they
good.
had the guy who's going to do the Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
Come to the set when they did the Civil War movie.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to get Black Panther wrong.
Yeah.
That's the attention to detail that I, as a comic book fan, moviegoer, want to see. So they're trying to create this cohesiveness in their movies where they're like, hey, here's what we're going to do. Is there something you think we should have? And he was like, what, are you aware of this? And they made sure that it's this cohesiveness from film to film. And I've told you what I think. I really think Black Panther's their badass claw guy.
I think Black Panther's going to be probably... It's going to do the numbers that Civil War did, and it's going to do the numbers that Avengers did. The initial... I think it's going to be one of their biggest films that they've ever done. I think it's going to be probably seminal. Like, they're going to be like, okay, this is Black Panther now. This is what Black Panther's going to need to be in the comic books. This is...
Okay, here's my thing, and I've told you this. I felt like Marvel doesn't have the rights to Wolverine, and that's Fox.
Yeah.
And it's Fox that has that one. And I felt like the Marvel Cinematic Universe needed a badass claw character.
Yeah.
And since you can't have Wolverine, they got the badass ass-kicking claw character in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of hype for Black Panther right now. And they rebooted his comic book.
Yeah.
And you cannot find an issue 1. Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is a very talented young African-American writer, is writing the comic book. Okay. Yeah. And if you Google Ta-Nehisi Coates, he's won some awards. He's done some pretty popular things. But the thing that gets me about him is that you got this guy working on a comic book, and in fact, I'm gonna pull him up. I want you to hear this about this guy. It blew me away. I was looking for issue 1. I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was going to be. Second printings are all you can find, and second printings are selling out of this comic book. So it's 2 issues deep. So here he is. He's an American writer, journalist, and educator. He's a national correspondent at The Atlantic, where he writes about cultural, social, and political issues, particularly as they regard to African Americans. Now, this guy has written... Here's what makes him the thing. Here's his key. He has received the Genius Grant from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation.
Wow.
We got a guy who received the Genius Grant writing a Marvel comic book.
Well, I mean, that just makes sense. I mean, you're writing a comic book character who's on the intelligence level of Tony Stark and Reed Richards and the other smartest people in the Marvel landscape.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And he's writing the comic book of this version. And the beauty of it is he's dealing, let's face it, he's dealing with, we always see Black Panther as the ass kicker. In the comic book, he's a man trying to hold his country together. They're going through a civil war. Yeah. Some people are starting to question the king. And the king now has to hold his country together as well as defend his country from outsiders.
Yeah.
So it is a conflicted, very intelligent read. I am super duper excited for it. And if you're a collector, definitely try to find you a second printing of this as soon as you can. If
even a digital copy of it, just
give it a read. Get it in your hand. Get it in your hand and start reading it, because it's pretty amazing what he's doing with it. But the hype from Civil War that led to this comic book selling out, Black Panther would not have sold out. A first issue of Black Panther would not have sold out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Black Panther fever has hit America at the perfect time right now. So there's the comic books coming out, they're rebooting. He kicks ass in Civil Wars. He's the most sought after action figure right now in the whole Civil War collection. People want Black Panther. They can't get enough Black Panther. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing you could be onto something. This could be one of the big ones. That next film, that Black Panther film, when it comes out, is going to be massive, because you can't tone him down. He kicked ass.
Yeah.
He was a ass-kicking, unstoppable force of nature in Civil War.
Yeah, and we've seen Wakanda too. Like, we've seen...
Yeah, we know what Wakanda's about.
Yeah.
And we know the vibranium that went through there. We know the money they've made in there. We know that...
You know, the king started sending out people to other countries to become educated, to come back to rebuild Wakanda and make it a technological paradise.
Right. And I see that's happening because we're not going to get into it, but there's a scene at the end of Civil War that we kind of know.
Yeah.
Wakanda's where you got to go for the technology. Oh, yeah. It is the place.
They've traded vibranium for the cash, the capital to rebuild Wakanda, and they've also used their education programs to bolster their company, to bolster their country, and it's going to a place that's going to be very interesting in the future.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really super excited. I like it when I see in the comic. I'm just saying, man, Ta-Nehisi Coates was just once again, bravo, Marvel. You know what the hell you're doing, and that's why they keep so many people buying their comics. Okay, that's why you look at the top 10 list. There's always a lot of Marvel comics in that top 10 list of what's selling the most. Definitely want to get on a Black Panther right now. That's my hot pick at Marvel. But what I'm seeing with that is, and we say all of that to kind of go into this whole Captain America thing. Captain America comic book has spun this new story out that is really out there, man. It's basically, and if you haven't read the comic, like we say, it's all over the internet. This isn't a spoiler alert.
To preface this, though, so Captain America lost his powers.
Yes.
Falcon became the new Captain America.
Right. So Sam Wilson was running around as Captain America ever since Captain America lost his powers and had lost his ability to stop aging. He became an old 90-year-old man.
90-year-old man.
With no powers.
With no powers whatsoever. Just an old guy.
Old guy. And he still had that spunk and determination, but he was an old man now. We knew he was going to pass away soon.
Yeah.
He's somebody's grandpa eating applesauce and enjoying Jeopardy in the afternoon. No powers. So, we have this issue in the Avengers called Standoff, where we find out about this place called Pleasant Hill. And Pleasant Hill, this is a really weird
Sounds
story.
pleasant.
Pleasant Hill was basically, S.H.I.E.L.D. has a cosmic entity, this cube, we should say. Kind of like a cosmic cube, and the cosmic cube becomes sentient. And the cosmic cube can alter realities.
Yeah.
It can create realities if it wanted to. So, S.H.I.E.L.D., doing what most big government secret agencies would do, doesn't use that power for good, which just shows that absolute power will corrupt absolutely.
Yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D. decides, hey, we're going to have this sentient being create this town called Pleasant Hill, and we're going to put all these super criminals there and wipe their memories. And they're going to live normal, happy lives.
Normal, happy lives.
Yeah, they're going to be TV repairmen and milkmen, and they're going to live in this pleasant place, and we're going to give them jobs. And they're
what could possibly go wrong?
They can't be super criminals anymore. Everybody wins. Until super criminals start realizing, hey, I used to be a badass. Why am I in this Leave It to Beaver town? And who's behind this? And then you start, once those guys kind of come to their senses, what happens? They start to lead a revolution. And that revolution, upends the whole thing about S.H.I.E.L.D. being, dirty as fuck. S.H.I.E.L.D. was dirty. They knew they did the wrong thing. So it kind of brings back to the whole tale of who watches the Watchmen.
Yeah.
So S.H.I.E.L.D. had a chance to do the right thing, didn't do it. S.H.I.E.L.D., we had already been dealing with the ramifications of, the Hydra story, where Hydra had infiltrated everything in Winter Soldier, and we knew they were in S.H.I.E.L.D., they were in the highest echelons of the government. So, and they kind of brought that whole story from the Winter Soldier and and a small part from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series into the comic books.
Yeah.
So S.H.I.E.L.D. is really, kind of dirty, and this is what happens in the comic in this Avenger standoff is Steve Rogers gets his powers back when he comes into contact with this sentient being named Kobik. Okay, now Kobik is a sentient being and
an all-powerful sentient being.
All-powerful sentient being, but it portrays itself as a 4-year-old girl. Okay, and much like a 4-year-old girl,
has temper tantrums.
It's a kid.
Does things wrong.
It just it does things, but it doesn't quite
Makes
know
Captain
right
America
or wrong.
into Hydra.
Right. So here's the thing: we see Captain America has now got his powers back. So everybody's like, "Oh my God, Captain America's back! Yeah!" And people got happy, and then the air got let out of their balloon because the new series starts, and it is like taking a shotgun to the mouth. It was like, whoa. Here's this guy who stood for truth, justice, and the American way. He was the Superman of DC, and here he is. We find out he's been a Hydra sleeper agent for 75 years.
Not unlike, if you've ever read it, Superman Red Son.
Very much alike.
It's like all of a sudden in this new reality that's been created, Superman landed in Russia instead of landing in Kansas.
Right, and that was that whole Elseworld story about what would have happened if Superman would have been in Russia. Okay, and he'd been the Red Son. So you would go, same thing. This Hell Hydra story has now started with Captain America being a sleeper agent.
Yeah,
for 75 years. Now let's just for a minute, let's just suspend belief that for 75 years, the Red Skull has been trying to kill Captain America and Baron Zemo and everybody else connected to Hydra. If you knew he was a Hydra sleeper agent, what sense did it make for you to try to kill this guy? Did nobody know he was a Hydra sleeper agent for 75 years?
Now,
like nobody got the memo?
I think it has something to do with Kobik. I think Kobik fixing Captain America changed something in the past unintentionally.
Yeah.
And retconned everything in Captain America's past, and we just haven't seen that yet.
A lot of fans are hoping that's what it is. I say that because here's the thing. The guy has received hate mail.
Yeah.
Death threats.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my thing. First of all, there's nothing worse that shows how entitled we are in America than when you send a comic book writer a death threat because you don't like his story.
It's insane.
I've seen grown men act like little bitches behind this. I'm not a fan of the story. I'm not sending death threats to anybody.
I think that Stan Lee said it best. He's like, I don't necessarily agree with it, but it has me interested, and I want to see where it's going.
Exactly. I do. Here's the thing. I went out and bought 2 copies of the first issue. Mm-hmm. One as a collector, one as a reader. I shared one of those, the reader, with you.
With me, yeah.
I want to. I haven't put it on my pull list for the comic book shop. I haven't committed to it to put it on the pull list and to continue it. But I'm thinking I want to give it
5 issues, maybe.
I usually try to go 6.
Yeah.
Unless there's a bigger story. I might even do a year. I think some comics deserve a year. Usually by the 3rd or 4th issue, you can tell if it's for you.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm really weird about that number. I mean, it's a floating number because I've tapped out on comics after 3 issues.
Okay.
3 issues, like most comic books, tell you a 5-issue story arc. Mm-hmm. If you're tapping out at the 3rd issue, you know this isn't for me. What I want to see isn't here. So on Captain America, though, I think there's a overarching story there that's going to be impressive. Now, here's what gets me about this. People were pissed off and they're sending death threats, but another comic book comes out the same week. Mm-hmm. Thunderbolts #1. The Thunderbolts series reboots. Now, Thunderbolts issue #1 looks like an old school, like Wildcats cover from the 90s. It looks like old school Jim Lee covers.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this cover and I'm going, what the hell is with that Thunderbolts, man? I mean, like the dude has a 10-pack. He has a 10-pack of abs on the front cover. You're going,
this is not physically possible.
Yeah. Where is he working out? I want his Ab Ripper X program he's working on because it's better than P90X. This is awesome.
It's just a Sharpie, really.
And yeah, that's how I'm gonna do it.
just draw it on.
Yeah, I was looking at this and I was like, what? And so it was just an old school 90s cover and it caught my attention and I just went and bought it. I just decided, hey, it's an old school 90s cover. That's kind of nostalgic. just buy it and see what happens. So I pick up the issue of Thunderbolts #1, and holy shit is my opinion of that one after I start reading it. Mm-hmm. Bucky, the Winter Soldier himself, is now in charge of the Thunderbolts. Now, the Thunderbolts is Marvel's answer to the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Villains, former villains, who are now
being forced to be good guys.
These guys actually choose to be it. They want to do it. So the Thunderbolts wanted to do good. So in DC, they force them. In Marvel, no, we actually want to do some good. Yeah. It'd be cool to do some good. So he puts together this superhero team. He breaks them out of it. It came in the whole thing when they were in Avengers Standoff, Pleasant Valley. Bucky breaks these guys out because he realizes S.H.I.E.L.D. is dirty.
Yeah.
And he decides he's going to take over the original white Nick Fury's job. He's going to be the man on the wall. Now, that's a term that came up during the original Sin series. Nick Fury was the man on the wall. He was the one that protected the Marvel Universe from threats. He kept an eye out in the universe. It wasn't just the planet. He was watching the entire universe to see when things go wrong. He was the man on the wall making the power moves to make sure everybody need to do what they need to do, right?
Yeah.
And kind of a deal broker to protect the universe. So Bucky says, I'm going to take this Thunderbolts team and I'm going to lead them, and I'm going to be the man on the wall, and I'm going to protect the universe. And what he's doing right now is he's trying to protect us from S.H.I.E.L.D. because they've gotten too big for their own britches.
Yeah.
And so he's the man on the wall. You get into the issue, and in this mission, after the first mission, I mean, you're on the 7th or 8th page, and then all of a sudden you realize the Kobik, the little sentient cosmic being who can create realities, who fucked up Captain America, is with the Thunderbolts. And Bucky has her. And so you're like, whoa. Okay, so Bucky is now trying to do all the things that Captain America taught him and that he knew Steve would do.
Yeah.
Because that's the Steve he believes in. And now there's a Hell Hydra version of Captain America out there. This sleeper agent for Hydra that nobody knew in the Marvel Universe knew about. That's led the Avengers and fought for the universe and saved us countless times and died, to protect our identities during the Civil War. I mean, that Captain America is out here.
Yeah.
This is the Captain America we remember. And now you see where this Thunderbolt series is on a crash course collision with the new Steve Rogers Captain America. So that's how they do the books. It's now Sam Wilson Captain America, Steve Rogers Captain America. They are going to continue both Captain America series, but the Steve Rogers Captain America is on a collision course eventually with the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I will not be shocked to see if we don't see the ramifications of this get bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, every Avengers team would be affected by Captain America being outed as as a Hydra sleeper agent. Because if you could get to Captain America, then you could get to anyone.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the storyline that they could pull through. So it's going to be one of those things where they always say every couple of years, this is going to have far-reaching implications on the Marvel Universe. Yeah, I do. I can see where it'll go.
It also, from a marketing standpoint, it seems like it's kind of a shock value thing. To get people reinvigorated in the Captain America comic book, since he has kind of been on the back burner for a while.
Oh yeah,
this is their death of Superman. We're gonna turn Captain America evil for a little while, and then we'll bring him back. Something will happen, and he'll be brought back to the right side of things.
Yeah, and fans I think want that. Like, I got a buddy of mine. He threw a fit. Like,
angry man,
somebody
pissed on his Kool-Aid
he
man.
Was really somebody had came over to his pancakes and instead of putting syrup on them, pissed on them. He was that kind of mad about the whole thing. He was it was irrational. It bordered on irrational anger about the whole Captain America thing.
Yeah,
and I would see him on social media, and I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to support it, and blah blah blah. I made a joke about it on social media. I'm gonna tell you the joke. The joke I made about it was the same people mad about Captain America being a Hydra agent are the same people that want Roman Reigns in the WWE to turn heel. I wrote all heels matter. I think that's what I did. And this fool, you're usually pretty funny. And I'm like, bitch, I'm still funny.
Calm down.
I've written more jokes than you thought of. Okay, don't be mad because your butt hurt behind Captain America.
Pull that corn cob right out your butt now. Yeah,
that's a fucking funny. It was a funny joke, and I was watching my friends. The likes went up on the joke, and I was like, I knew it was a funny joke, and anybody who watched the WWE and has wished Roman Reigns would turn heel was going to catch that joke. It was written for a certain group of people. I knew they would catch the reference. And it was, he was pissed. No, he's pissed. Like, I don't even get it. I was like, bro, in the grand scheme of things, of everything that we could be pissed about.
You're mad. This is the perfect first world problem.
Yeah, no, this is exactly
the quintessential first world problem.
This is why people hate us in this country. This is why other countries look at us and say, we need to kill them. Because we're mad behind comic books.
Yeah.
We're mad. We're sending death threats behind comic books. Oh, no, you're a bank and you foreclosed on my grandparents' home and you did some crooked things. Not mad at you. We don't send you death threats, but you turned Captain America into a Hydra agent. Oh, my God, I'm going to kill you, your wife, and your children.
Apocalypse looks like Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, that's true. He does look like he should have been on season 1 of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He does.
But you know, I'm not.
No,
I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's whatever.
Speaking of that,
I mean, Fox has been fucking with X-Men for a long time anyway. So it's not like anything we should be angry about. But it's that kind of thing that somebody is just going to go completely irrationally angry about, and just not see the film or not want to see the film.
Oh yeah, and I'm not buying their books. I don't collect their books. I'm not excited about their books. So, and here's my thing. He has a right, as an American, he has a right to put that corn cob in his ass sideways and walk around self-righteously, pissed off at the world because they've ruined this book. That's his right. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's your right. I, on the other hand, am like, I don't like it, but I kind of want to see what they do. I kind of tend to follow on the side with Stan Lee. I mean, because we're always like, people have been rehashing comic book stories. It's always the same.
I mean, story. They're doing Civil War 2 now. I mean,
yeah, the story never changes. We just change the names of the heroes.
Yeah,
and we give you the same story over and over. And then when somebody does break away from the monotony of comic books, we get upset. We're upset because he gave us something different. So we'll see. We will see what's going on with this. Man, bro, we're starting to get some followers on here on this post we posted.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of cool, man. In fact, you know what? It's kind of a cool time in the show. Kind of give a shout out. I want to shout out to one of our guys that couldn't be with us today, Max Gabert. He couldn't be with us today. He was going to be on here. Max did send in a topic we're going to discuss here in a bit. Thomas Rogers.
Tommy, yeah,
and
definitely.
What's the name of his show? He does Chainsaw Ape.
Yeah, Chainsaw Ape. Him and DKP do Chainsaw Ape. I think it's twitch.tv/Chainsaw Ape is their show. Twitch. They do weekly podcast show.
Great show.
Streaming on Twitch. It's an amazing thing.
If you're in listening distance of this, go find that on Twitch, and you will not regret it. It is a great, great show. Tommy, great friend of ours, big supporter of what we're doing here at Team Lift, really was encouraging us doing this.
Exactly.
So, man, those guys, nothing but love for those guys. But, yeah, man, we're kind of watching it. You can find us on Twitter. We're at Team Lift. We have a Facebook page, right? We do have a Facebook. Is it our Facebook page is a closed one for our group?
Facebook is closed at the moment. I'm going to open it up. I basically put that together just to have a communication for this podcast. But
we could keep yours closed, and I may do one that's just for us. Yeah. That's just a fan page.
Yeah,
I'll do a fan page.
The Twitter is actually at Go Team Lift.
At Go Team Lift. That's it. So our Twitter page is at Go Team Lift. You can follow us. You can contact us there.
My Twitter is at Thiazide, which is THYAZIDE.
And I'm at Coach Silky. All one word, Coach Silky. That's also my Xbox gamer tag. I don't know why. I can tell you why. everybody calls me Coach because I look like the black guy from Left 4 Dead 2.
In fact, when you called me today, that's the first time I had your number. That's actually the picture for you now in my contact list on my phone.
Yeah, everybody says it. I've shaved the beard off since then, but it happened when I was working at GameStop. I can't even. That's a great picture. That's the best Coach picture anyway. It happened at GameStop. I got to tell you guys this. I was at GameStop. I was a manager for the company for 6 years, and I did. I want to say it was District 110, and that's all up in the Texas Panhandle area. Mm-hmm. And there's a lady, Jennifer Anderson's the district manager up there. There's a freaking phenomenal management team up there. Love that whole area. That's home to me. But I was with the GameStop family for 6 years managing stores, and I was the guy that would go into underperforming stores and then turn them around. Yeah. So like, oh, this store's only made $400,000. Well, in 1 year we made $700,000 when I was there. Then this store never cracked $1 million. Oh, it's going to crack $1 million now that I'm here. We do things to. So I got that, and it was a great job. I loved it. I actually kind of miss it sometimes. I miss the camaraderie and the familyness of it. I don't miss working 70-plus hours a week. I don't miss that. I don't miss that at all. But it was a cool job. I really loved it. And when Left 4 Dead 2 came out, we had all the marketing posters, and the store I was at had this giant poster at the front with all the characters on it. And it was huge. It was like one of those mega posters you see at a movie theater. Yeah. And we had it in our store. And this little kid kept looking at the poster, and he looked at me, and he looked at the poster, and he looked at me. And he was giving me that look like this kid realized that he had met his long-lost father. And I'm nervous.
He connected two things together, and you could see it on his face.
Yes, I was nervous because the way he was looking at me is like, is that my daddy? And I was nervous. I was like, this kid's probably about 7, and 7 years ago, I was kind of a whore. So 7 years prior to Left 4 Dead 2, I was in a whore stage. So I was like, oh my God,
what did I do?
I need to know who this kid's mom is. I'm freaking out. So the kid finally, he's just freaking out now. He's like, his jaw's on the ground and he's panicking. And I just go up to him and I say, little man, hey bro, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Is there something wrong? And he just looks at me in shock and awe, and he goes, oh my God, is that you on the poster? And he's so innocently, really truly believed it was me on the poster and that I was in the store. And then I look at the poster, and Coach had on that yellow, blue shirt, polo shirt, and the khaki pants. Yeah. I happened to be wearing the same damn outfit that day in the store. I had a polo shirt that looked just like that. And the khaki
do you have a picture of this, or can you wear it? We take a picture. We'll put it on social media.
I threw that shirt away. That shirt had to go away after
Why
this.
would you do that? Because that's the perfect cosplay. You don't even have to do anything. You just put a shirt on and show up.
This kid freaked me out so bad because he's like, oh my God, is that you on the poster? And I just kind of looked at the poster and looked at the outfit, and I looked down and I saw, oh my God, I'm wearing the same freaking outfit of Coach in this. And every day I'm looking at this poster. Never paid attention. You have that shirt in your closet. So this kid is about to pass out. He's like hyperventilating. But he said it so loud that my assistant managers and my third key managers and all the people that work for me heard it. Customers heard it. And it was
this is how a thing gets started.
The lights turned on in their freaking heads. Like this kid turned them on to reality because they all looked and said, oh my God, it does look like you. And it was like, and before I could say, no, it doesn't, my assistant manager, a guy named Cody Kenning, was on the phone. He picked up the phone, the store phone, and was calling other stores and telling them the story. Like the kid, it's seconds, within seconds of the kid saying it, I heard, oh my God, it does look like you. And then I looked at him and I saw, and he was like on the phone, you're not going to believe this. And I'm just sitting there like, my life is moving in slow motion in these 45 seconds right here. And it was it. I've never shook the nickname. It was Coach from that day forward. So people, he still to this day, he tells me, I know how close people are to you by what they call you. Yeah. And I said, what do you mean? He said, if they say, hey, whatever happened to Roderick? He said, I know that's an old friend that knew you pre-GameStop or knew you pre-Left 4 Dead 2. Yeah. They knew you as they were one of your customers for the end. If they say, where's Coach? I know exactly what store they met you at and when that name caught on fire and when they started talking to you. And I was like, that's sad. And then I get to the video game company we work at today, and my first day there, they ask us, hey, do you have any nicknames? That was all they asked me. Do you have any nicknames? And I was like, yeah, not really. And they said, come on, really? And I was like, I don't really want to say it. And they was like, no, seriously, what's your nickname? And I was like, look, I'll tell it to you guys, but it can't leave this room. Okay.
That's never going to happen. And you should have known that from the beginning.
I didn't know. I trusted people.
Just kept your mouth shut.
I trusted people. That was my problem. I still was trusting. This is a new video game company. Nobody knows me here. I'm 8 hours away from Amarillo. This is Austin, Texas. Nobody knows me at this company. This nickname will not catch on. I've gotten rid of the beard. This will not catch on. So they said, any nicknames? I said, yeah. When I worked at GameStop, people used to call me Coach, and they were like, "Did you coach Little League?" I said, "No." Have you ever played the video game Left 4 Dead 2? That was all I said. Class
Immediately.
of 25 people in the classroom, 7 people in this freaking classroom at the same freaking time in the perfect harmony that even the Mormon Tabernacle Choir could not do, said, "Oh my God, he really does look like him." And I was like, son of a bitch. And it was like, no, that name did not catch on. So I thought, okay, it's still not going to catch on. It's not going to get out of this room.
No,
it's not getting out of this room.
It's obviously gotten out because that's all I call you as Coach.
Well, here's where it went wrong. I didn't think the name was going to catch on because it was promised to stay in that room. Something goes horribly wrong because the regional our regional
Maria?
manager.
Is that Maria?
No, that's Area.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so her boss.
Oh, okay.
We're going to say Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris says, hey, I heard there's a guy named Coach in here. and I was like, did that crap just happen to me? And I said, yeah, that would be me. And he went, you do kind of look like him. And I was like, what the crap? Did somebody text him this information?
He hears everything. His desk is right next to the training room. So that's why that happened.
And then Maria heard it, and then it was like, it just caught on, like my name throughout the building. My favorite story is when a guy named Beverly, Ashley, Ashley came through, and he says, hey, I need to know who Roderick McDaniel is, man. That guy's really sharp. He sent me a great question. And he's talking to me. And he's like, I want to know who Roderick McDaniel is. And I'm like, bro, I'm Roderick McDaniel. He went, I thought your name was Coach. And I was like, what the holy hell have you done to me that's my name? That's wrong. That is so. Steam Workshop has just punished me.
There's a Steam Workshop called Sexy Legs Coach, and it's Coach, and his upper half is normal, but his bottom half he's got on.
That's RuPaul Drag Race from the bottom, from the waist down.
From the waist down, it's pink, it's a thong, it's high heels, it's fishnets, it's perfect.
I'm gonna do that for Halloween. I'm gonna just do that. Okay, but see that shirt that he's wearing?
Yeah,
FHS. That is an LSU shirt. I'm from Louisiana, huge LSU fan. That's a shirt you could get from LSU.
Yeah.
So it was a purple shirt, LSU, with that yellow.
You did this to yourself.
No. They did this to me. Valve ruined my life.
Those evil sons of bitches. That's what they were out to do.
Yeah, I don't know what Valve thought was like, somewhere there's a guy in this universe, and we are going to fuck with him. And that's what they did to me. So I had that shirt. I got rid of my LSU shirt. That is great. He's got the FHS shirt. That's a great cosplay. Yeah, but I had an LSU shirt, and that was the colors, that purple and yellow. And I was bald. I had the bald head, and I had a full beard, and it was done. It was done. I mean, that
everybody calls me Coach.
Yeah, no, I'm Coach everywhere. And what's weird is a customer called in and spoke to another person at our company and said, "Hey, tell Coach I said thank you." And I was like, "How does this customer know the story of Coach?" And I guess when I was talking to him on the phone, somebody came up and said, "Hey, coach," to me. And I said, "Hold on 1 second." And I answered their question. Mm-hmm. And he must have heard them call me coach because he called back to thank coach. He did not call. I sent him an email that said Roderick. I talked to him and introduced myself as Roderick.
Somehow
I said bye as Roderick. He called back, but he said, "Tell coach I wanted to say thank you." And I was like, this is insane. Okay, this is insane. Because I can't have customers now knowing me as coach.
Yeah.
It's a wrap on me. It's a wrap.
So I was talking to my girlfriend last night about the podcast and, you know, what we're going to do.
Right.
Recording, whatnot. And I kept calling you coach on the phone. And she's like, "Who is coach? Is that like his last name?" And I was like, "No, he just looks like a character from Left 4 Dead. So everybody calls him coach."
Yes.
And she was like, "Oh, I thought it was like a last name or something, like Coach with an E on the end or something." I was like, No,
not at all. I'm not related to the Coach Bag family, and it's not that. It is this damn video game has ruined me. And this little kid who I wish I would have known his name. I really wish I would have known his name because I would have liked to see him grow up.
Yeah.
And then I would like to go on his graduation, and when he walked across the stage, just ran up and punched the shit out of him and just. "You've ruined my life, you little bastard!"
Just hit him with a guitar.
Congratulations, and just run out and just treat him like a screecher. I mean,
just run out with a gas can on your back.
Yeah, man, it was just this little kid, wherever he is, man. God bless you, man. But you've given me a legacy. I'll never
outrun it.
I can't. It's done. It's a wrap. But he did that to me, and it's just stuck through the years. Man, that's a crazy story. That is truly how I came up with the name Coach, and it won't go away ever. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
I think we have. You know what? We can stop here if you wanted to, and then that just give us some stuff to cover in the next one. Or do you want to keep going?
We can stop here for a minute. I really have to use the restroom, so that's probably a good time for us to cut it.
If we had commercial breaks, this is what we would go to right now. But we will be back to holler at you guys. Just remember, you're listening to the Team Lift podcast with me, Roderick, Coach McDaniel, and Brandon Bowie. We'll be talking to you guys soon. Bye.